This is the Cadence of Life Podcast, where we interview music professionals and entrepreneurs and learn the ins and outs of their career. Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the Cadence of Life Podcast show. Your host, Jeff Strahan, aka your boy Jay Reed. Just got a quick announcement before we introduce my guest. As of today, we are booked up 3 months in advance on our podcast. Really excited to announce that. We have some really good guests on the show coming up. We got entrepreneurs, producers, artists. So please tune in. If you want to tune in, check out anchor.fm under the Cadence of Life Podcast. My guest today has credits with YNGM Chosen, Anwan Zone, and has collabed with Keep Poundin' _TV on a Carolina Panthers anthem. He has music released on all major music retailers, available for download and streaming. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chadzilla Beatz. What's good, bro? What's good?
What's good? What's good?
Oh. Yo, man, so on the streets, everybody's been wondering, man, like, what's it like with COVID, being a music producer?
Hey, man, first of all, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty much the same as me, of course, with being music producers nowadays, compared to back in the day where you actually had to go to the studio and work with the artists themselves. You can send a lot of stuff through Gmail, or you could do live sessions over Zoom, as far as like just music. But of course, you if you want to record like in the studio, you of course you have to be together. But for the most part, I'm still able to collab with producers as far as networking via the internet. So it's not been so bad for me. I don't do music full time, but I still do it enough where I stay pretty relevant on a weekly basis. So yeah, it's been tough, but it hasn't been super tough on me, and I actually still work in office at my job. So yeah.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah. So tell people exactly, like, a little bit about your story, kind of your backstory, how you got into music, and just kind of how you got started.
Well, so first of all, I'm residing here in Texas now, but I'm originally from North Carolina. I grew up in music for the most part. I think I had my first drum set when I was like 5 or 6 year old, and I played, and I ended up playing in the church when I used to go with my pretty much my whole family back in North Carolina. So I started playing the drums. My grandmother, grandfather, they sung in the choir, so I ended up going with them. I sung a little bit also, and then I ended up transitioning to playing the drums for the church and a couple other things. And then when I was like in the sixth grade, I ended up joining the band. I wanted to play the drums so bad, but they didn't have any more space, so I ended up playing the trombone, and I was left-handed, so at first it was a little awkward because all players use their right hand for the slide or whatever. So I ended up loving the trombone, and throughout the sixth grade to the eighth grade, I ended up being in, or maybe it was later on when I got to high school, I ended up being in all county bands. So I ended up learning music theory. I got pretty deep into it once I got to high school. I was also in the marching band, and I played in the brass band. And then like my going up into my junior and senior year, I started getting more serious. Like I said, I was in the all county band, I was in the all district band, and I played football also. So I didn't necessarily have time to practice like I wanted to, but I probably could have ended up being in the all state. But I played in this one band. It was called Triangle Youth Brass Band. We actually traveled a couple of places. It was called NABA back then, and we won like first place when we competed against other students. And again, like I say, I was in the marching band. I played in the jazz band. I played in the brass band. So I was pretty involved in music my whole life, especially around that year. So I credit a lot of my production just far as being able to, music wise, learning music theory, that helped me a lot. And I actually read music also. So that helped me a lot along the way with my music production. Whereas, like, I'm a hardware guy, so I don't do a lot of software manipulation as far as on what I use, and maybe just a little bit when I'm finishing up editing and using, compression, EQ and stuff. But I can do most of that in the MPC. So like I say, a lot of the things that I do, it's all hands on. I don't use a lot of software. So like I say, I'm being more old school, not super old school, but enough to where I'm kind of
Yeah.
like a little bit of best of both worlds.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you had a lot of influence in music theory. You said so. A lot of music producers have to use music theory into their everyday basis. So that's really cool how you got to learn it at a young age and then kind
Right.
of transition later. See, I know a lot of producers and also myself. It's been the opposite, like
Yep.
been producing for a long time and then have to turn around and learn music theory in order to produce certain tracks and in order to do chords and notes and stuff like that. And
Right.
but I had a second question on that one. So you say that you use a lot of hardware.
Hmm.
Exactly like what type of hardware do you think that is kind of like your favorite go-to hardware piece?
Well, I originally started off back in, tell a little bit of my age, but back in the early, well, not early, but around the mid 90s is when I first started recording. I had a little Casio keyboard. It probably had like 6 tracks I could record on it. And
Yeah,
plus, it didn't have quantized, so I had to play everything pretty much perfect. But actually, in today's time, you don't necessarily want to quantize everything dead on the grid. So it was kind of the best of both worlds, but that's how I started. And I actually was recording on tape deck back in the day. So from that time up until I graduated high school, I think in high school I bought a Roland Phantom. That was my first professional
yeah.
keyboard, and I learned a lot on it. And I think I had like I think I could do 16 tracks on it, and I had plenty of synths, instruments. It was a bad machine, and I ended up selling that, and I definitely ended up regretting that later on. I wish I still had it, and I ended up later on when I got back into music production again around this was like 3 years ago. I bought another Roland keyboard, and I got rid of that one also. But then I said, well, I'm gonna try something different. So I ended up. I always knew about an MPC, but I never messed with it back in the day. So a couple of my friends, uh, way back when I was in high school, when I first started messing with the guys in the group, but we'll get into that later. They had like the MPC, I think it was like a 2000 or something like that. But I was like, man, that's pretty cool because I never sampled until I got the last keyboard, but it was okay. But once I got my MPC live that I have now, it was a game changer. I could sample with it. I could do whatever. It's pretty much. Hold on, I get it right here.
Oh,
See,
okay. Yeah, yeah. For
yeah,
those who can't see it, basically it's a keypad machine with a lot of different effects on it and everything. Um,
yeah. It's a sampler, sequencer, drum machine, all in one. And the good thing about this is that I don't necessarily have to take anything to the computer, which I also have the software on my computer, but I never use it. I do everything internally inside the MPC, even using compression and EQ. I can get the track ready to go. Pretty much everything except for master the track, which whenever the artist recorded or whatever, the engineer can takes care of all of that stuff.
so that's
So
like some
yeah,
real old school, man. You got a floppy
yeah.
disk and and you going to town with it.
Yeah, that's back in the day. But this one right here, it actually has a spot for you can install a hard drive, a internal hard drive in it. But I bought not too long ago. I bought like a 2 terabyte hard drive, so I keep all my files on it, and I have some backed up on my computer. So most of the things that I use, like all my sounds, loops, whatever. All my songs I always save on my hard drive, so it's portable. Even from time to time, I even take it with me pretty much everywhere I go. Like when I travel back to North Carolina, I still have some artists and stuff that I work with, so I'm on the go. I've even, be honest with you, I've made beats on the plane before, so yeah, I love it. Yeah.
All right. So back to talking about the the sampling of the device. Um, do you actually sample your like albums or records or some type of like stuff like that, or do you get your samples from an outside source?
Most of everything that I sample, be honest with you, it just depends, sometimes I get a lot of stuff off of YouTube. I might get stuff off of certain sites. I'm giving some gems now where you can actually, you don't necessarily have to buy packs. If they give you a free preview and you really like the sample, all you gotta do is sample it because anyway, for the most part, it's already royalty free, so you don't have to worry about anybody hunting you down, for you to pay for it or whatever. So yeah, a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff is all digital that I get. Like I said, I get a lot of stuff off of YouTube or anything that I hear. I just run it through my computer, plug it up. If I hear the sound, I just sample it into my MPC, and then I can manipulate it however I need to.
Yeah, that's what's
Yeah.
up, man. That's what's up. So
Yeah.
again, just to let the viewers know and the listeners know, um, we kind of spoke a little bit in the intro about how you got your music out there on different platforms. Can you speak a little bit more about like where you're all at as far as all your platforms?
Yeah, no doubt. So it's been a couple of years ago, I think that I started, but it's a couple of different distributors that you use, but I'm pretty much affiliated with DistroKid. So
Yeah.
basically, you got Tidal, Spotify, Google Play, Google Music, iTunes, all of those different things that you can actually use. So yeah, any of the streaming platforms, distributor that I use submits them to all.
Now, have you ever used like TuneCore, CD Baby, BMI, ASCAP, anything like that?
Not no. Well, I'm lying. I have, and I think I think I have BMI and ASCAP because talking on that note, that's of course being a producer. That's very important if you want to
Yeah,
collect
I
your
mean, because
royalties.
that's your
Yeah.
publishing for your royalties and stuff.
Right, especially if you're working with other artists. Not necessarily if you're putting out instrumentals, because of course you're gonna be the only one getting the credit for the song because you're not really necessarily writing the song. But when you start dealing with artists, sometimes they could actually take credit for producing the song. And if you don't necessarily when you make the beat, if you don't go ahead and put the song like through ASCAP or BMI, excuse me, then you could end up cheating yourself in the long run. So yeah, that's definitely
Yeah,
helpful for people
definitely.
to learn the business side of music business before actually getting into the other side of it. It's super important. Yeah.
No, I totally agree on that. I think that a lot of times people just jump into stuff and instead of actually kind of backing their stuff up and making sure that it's copyrighted. When I first started out doing music producing, I use Sony Acid Pro, still use Sony Acid Pro to this day. But one thing I like about that software is that you can actually encode every track with a copyright, kind of tag,
Hmm.
to where if somebody plays it or listens to it or whatever, it's pulling up that name off of your, who you are and everything.
Yeah, like I think like a SRC code or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's kind of just another benefit about being a music producer is because you kind of see the behind the scenes, and sometimes you can do a lot more than what just the artist can do.
Right. And
Um,
also I learned a lot from my father. My father he wasn't a music producer but he rapped and so far as like the business side, I learned a lot of that about him from him as well, necessarily because a lot of times, producers long as you're not signed to a label, you're independent and you end up getting a placement, it's very beneficial.
yeah,
But if you end up signing to somebody, say like Zaytoven or any other super producer, it could be a good thing for as publicity, but in the long run, it might cost yourself money. So you just got to make that choice when if it ever comes to you down the road, if you want to stay independent or you want to sign to a major label, get your name out there. Of course, you're gonna be tied. Kind of like they call it like the 360 deal for like artists, it look good up front, but everything you do, far as videos, you all got to pay all that money back. So once you get that check, you be like, man, I ain't made no money. So, you know,
yeah, it happens like that. I mean, you got to
yeah,
make sure your royalties is coming to you because if you let
right,
somebody else, like a record label or some type of production team or something like that, take over all your royalties, You're basically at their beck and call, and when they want you to do things, and then when you leave their label or leave their production company, you have legal battles, and you have a lot of things that go on because you don't own the rights anymore. So
Right.
it's a battle. I mean, a lot of these new artists and stuff like that are getting into the game. They sign to these labels and they get millions of dollars right off the jump, and it's basically in the contract that says I'm fronting you this money to take all your royalties. That's basically how that
Yeah,
ends up.
and not only not only royalties, like I say, they have a budget and everything comes out. They're not paying for any of that. So when the liquor say, hey, this right here costs 500,000 or blah blah blah, they be like, man, they sick. So most of the time, a lot of artists they
Yeah.
make all their money touring. So yeah.
Now you spoke about how well, I spoke a little bit in the intro about how you have some artists that you worked with.
Mhm.
That now are those local artists from Austin, Texas artists, or you work with people all around the United States?
So the guys, YNGM Chosen and Antoine Zones, yeah, they're actually local in Austin. And like I say, I have recently collabed with some guys back at home in North Carolina. But from time to time, I have an Instagram page, so every once in a while I have people to hit me up, and it's a give and take. Sometimes people are serious, and sometimes people are not. Once you start shooting them prices at them, they change their mind real fast. But if they're serious and they really like your music,
Oh yeah.
then we can talk business. So yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say necessarily a lot of different states, but I have had people from outside of Texas and outside of North Carolina has hit me out that I've done music with. So yeah, definitely.
Well,
But
on that
next,
note, one of the questions that I had for you today is, what do you think about being a music producer in a place like Austin, Texas? Do you think it's a good thing because it's the live music capital city of the world, or do you think that there's a downfall because it's more targeted to other genres of music?
I guess it depends on who you ask because it is different, but at the same time, it's all about who you know. So, like I said, both of the guys that I end up that I collab with, the artists here in Austin, they are all actually hip hop. So basically, I mean, it just depends because you also got to think about it. You got rappers all over the state of Texas, so you got to think about Houston and Dallas also. In a way, it could be a good thing, and you even got people in San Antonio. So, for example, you got Megan Thee Stallion, Travis. What's my man?
Travis Scott.
Travis. Yeah, Travis Scott. They from Houston, and then you got
Yeah.
Yella Beezy. I think he's from the Dallas area, and then you got legends of Houston rappers, far as like Bun B, Pimp C,
Just in case.
Lil Lil Kiki, you got Lil Flip. I mean, the list goes on. So
Oh
it's
wow.
yeah, all of them. So
Bow
you
Wow
think of
from Smithville, Texas. Don't put that plug out there for Bow Wow, Smithville, Texas.
so yeah, man. So and then the thing about Austin is it's pretty centralized. You got 2.5 hours from Houston, another 3 hours from Dallas, and an hour and a half to San Antonio. So like I said, it's beneficial living here. And you also have the South by Southwest, and the other one in the fall. What's the other music show they have?
ACL.
ACL. So yeah, so you got all that where you could actually go out and network and meet people. So I think it's beneficial and definitely. I mean, like I say, it probably is a lot of producers here. Like you say, you got the Austin Music Producers Group. So it's good to like to network and once this person knows that person, they hear this music, they say, hey, this guy right here is good. He does this type of music. I don't necessarily do that, but he does. So it's good being here. I think it's beneficial for me anyway. Like far as being comparing to back at home where I would probably have to go somewhere like Charlotte or Raleigh or somewhere like that. But being here
Right.
is it's on a bigger scale, so I definitely think it's a good thing. Yeah.
Now, on that note, when you're talking about the groups that we are part of,
Hmm.
the Austin, Texas Producers and Music Group that I kind of help run and stuff with me and a couple other guys.
Yep.
Um, but I think the word on the street is, man, when we gonna battle again? You know what I mean? When we gonna
Yeah,
beat battle
right, right.
again?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what a lot of y'all listeners don't know is that me and Chadzilla, we had a couple beat battles already, and we did some collaborations on different tracks together. And so,
Yep.
you know, if you haven't already, man, if you're in the Austin area, or if you just around Texas, period, definitely check out that group, Austin, Texas Producers of Music. It's a lot of different producers, artists, singers, different things of all different types of genres. We all just kind of get together, talk about different things, different DAWs that we use and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not sure trying to put that plug out there, but
No
but
doubt.
on another note, man, I had a couple of other questions for you here. I think I've pretty much answered most of them. Oh, here go one. Um, what do you think about using like SoundCloud or Reverb Nation? Do you like either one of them, or do you like one that's versus the other?
Well, personally, I can speak about SoundCloud because I do use it, but I don't use it that much. At first, I kind of had like a stigma, like, man, I could put a lot of music out there, but I don't necessarily want anybody to steal my music. So you got to think about it. Do you want to get yourself out there or risk somebody, even another producer, taking your music? Not necessarily just the artist using your song where it could blow up, you might not be able to chase it down, or somebody else twisting it, or like I say, do you want to get listened to by millions of people out there, including other rap artists, big time rap artists? Because I know I've heard other rap artists, they listen to SoundCloud a lot, to try to discover producers and artists. So I think it is beneficial. So you just kind of gotta take the good with the bad on that. But I do like SoundCloud, and I've never used Reverb Nation. I might look into it a little later, but I like SoundCloud, and I think they also have like a pro version, but I'm not sure what all that entails. But I've used just a regular version of SoundCloud, and I like it pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm the total opposite. I've never actually used SoundCloud. I've actually
Mhm.
always used Reverb Nation.
Mhm.
Um, I guess it has its benefits as well.
Yeah.
You can either just stream tracks to where people can just stream your tracks, or you can have it to where people can have like a free download.
Yeah.
Also, too, you can sell it straight from there if you had the. But the one thing I do like about Reverb Nation, not trying to put a plug out there for them, but they actually have a setting to where you can buy a press kit. So if you buy like a monthly press kit, or I think it's like a yearly fee or something, basically they have a network of all the different venues that's around you. So like if you was an artist and you needed to get out there, you could literally send your press kit to every single venue in your city, and then you will get responses back from those venues of saying, yeah, we want to book you for the show, da 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 da. So it kind of gives you that leverage as instead of hitting the ground and all boots running, like instead of going to venue to venue to venue, you can do it all through like a press kit. And so it'll have examples of your music, it'll have your cover art, it'll have previous shows. Maybe you got some videos of some previous shows you can put in there. So that's kind of cool about that. And then another thing that they do is ratings. So, like for instance, I haven't actually checked it in a while. I think the last time I checked it, I was like eighth for the Austin area for instrumental hip hop. But
Mhm.
they do a rating by your region, and then they do a rating by like the nation or whatever. So, like by our region, Austin, Texas, I'm rated like eight. So what I was, for viewers and listeners that are listening out there, basically, there's a lot of options for artists and producers that a lot of people probably don't even know about. So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean that's really cool about what you said about SoundCloud, because I haven't really used it. I heard a lot of things about it. I heard that they even monetize and stuff like that. But
Yeah, they started doing that.
yeah, I just never really used it. I am out there on BeatStars a little bit. I noticed that you really don't mess with BeatStars much, though. Is it?
Nah, I don't. I never posted. Well, actually, I'm lying. I did one collab. I actually have this guy that I met. He sent me stuff from time to time, and he actually like if I need something seriously, engineered or mixed, I'll send it to him. He's out in California. He works at a studio there. His name is Quest Audio. Shout out to him on Instagram. So yeah, if I need something super mix, I'll send it to him and he'll usually shoot it back to me. But he sent me a lot of stuff, and I think we collabed on one, and it's on BeatStars. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
hmm
Yeah, because have you tried any of the other ones like Airbid or anything like
No,
that? Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Most of everything else. So people have hit me up personally, either from Facebook Messenger or Instagram. They hit me up on the DM, and I've also when I started back here in Austin, I put an ad on Craigslist. So I've actually had people email me and
That's
call
what's
me
up.
also. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really cool to hear people's experience. That's why I kind of started this podcast is because everybody has a different experience of how they got to where they are now. And
oh yeah,
it's really cool to hear your story because of the fact that you really all organic.
yeah,
Everything is by email, everything is by social media. You're not trying to be out here trying to sell beats online. Besides like your royalties off of like iTunes and stuff like that. But it's really cool to
right,
hear that there's still people out there that will respond like that, like, hey, yo, I need this and I need that, and
right.
shoot me this and shoot me that, and let's work on a project together, let's collaborate. But yeah, that's really awesome to hear all that, and
Yeah, cause I can tell you this right here, and I know this for certain. It's good to be able to sell beats online, but if you can develop a personal relationship with somebody and they know you got the fire and they keep coming back to you, whether it be months or years, and you got them locked in, that'll always be better than if you can get one person that can come back to you over years, it's better than, selling a beat online, necessarily. I don't, they got different prices, but me personally, I'm not the type of guy where I'm going to give you my beats for $5 or $10. You know what I'm saying? That's just
yeah,
not what I do. But there are other artists out there, or excuse me, producers out there that will do that. And I'm not saying that my music is better than them. I'm just saying I'm not going to do that personally. You know what I mean? Because if you want to, some of my music, I'm going to talk to you on a personal level and necessarily not might not necessarily meet you, but that's the goal, to actually work with that person, because when you working with somebody side by side as far as doing music, you guys can come up with something like a lot better as far as creation. Because even if they have the song structure, a good producer, they're gonna tell you the do's and the don'ts. You're not necessarily, or the artist can tell you what they want, and you guys can make the music together versus just being sending somebody the beat where they might want this part edited or whatever. So if you guys together, then you can keep that customer and necessarily, and then even give them ideas and feed off each other's ideas. So if for somebody like, for instance, like J. Cole, so he's a producer himself. Most of the music that he's done, all his early albums, he did them himself. And also recently, he collabed with other producers. So them being together, he can tell them what he's aiming for on the track. So that's the other benefit of actually being with somebody and developing a relationship versus just selling beats online. Because it's not always about the money, even though it's about the money. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So I have a thing here on my podcast where I want to kind of get a little bit more, I guess, personal, as I
Yeah.
want to ask this one question to probably everybody that I go encounter with, is
Mhm.
that is some type of religion or some type of, like, do you believe in God? Are you a Christian, or are you a Catholic, or are you some type of other
Yeah.
nomination or something nomination? Uh, is that have a lot of part to what you do as far as in your music?
I would say yes, but not so much, because you know what I'm saying. I'm not an artist myself, so what I'm doing, I'm just putting the music out there. So if I had a gospel artist, because there is such thing as gospel rap, so
Yeah,
I would love to work with uh, artists like that also. So like I said, like I said earlier, I grew up in the church, and we grew up Christian pretty much, and ended up being over the years non-denominational. So I wasn't affiliated necessarily with a certain denomination, but I did grow up Christian. But yeah, and I would say just in life in general, that's had a lot to do with, I could say, my success as being the person as who I am, and just in general, and music, because eventually. they say like God gave you a gift, and if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
that's how I feel about that. So it definitely helped me to be who I am today. Like I said, growing up in the church, going to choir rehearsal with my grandparents and my family. So and then end up playing, and then it all transitioned, over the years and evolving into the music producer slash musician that I am today. So yeah.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Yeah, I just that was one of the questions that I definitely wanted to kind of get out there for everybody that comes onto my show as a guest.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that's just that's just a topic that a lot of people don't speak on when it comes to this music world.
Right.
You got people out here that are kind of faking it to making it, and I'm not gonna call any names to the big stars out there, but at the same time there's a lot of people that try to say that God's behind them, or they say that they pray and this and that, but then
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like they putting out music that doesn't look like that, and
Right.
and a lot of people don't realize that the people that are on that hard grind, but actually move to the top. There's got to be something in there that they're doing that's different than just somebody that's sitting around smoking all day, drinking beer and just kicking it,
Right.
and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying that it's just a question that I like kind of getting into with different guests on my show. I want to kind of get in deep with that kind of stuff because there's actually people that I have in my network that works with gospel groups, that work with
Hmm.
churches and stuff like that. So the reason why I'm asking those questions is because maybe later on it might be get to a point to where it's like if I know you like that, and if I know the type of person that you will work with, then I might have a person that wants to do a gospel album, or there's a church that might need
Right.
engineer for their thing, and then it's like, hey, I know this one guy, and then it puts.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a question that I spoke about when I did my first episode, and I just
Right.
I just want to ask everybody like, what is their point of view on that? And nothing is
Oh yeah.
wrong. Like no point of
Right.
views are wrong.
Right.
It's just that I just wondering, it's just a
Yeah.
question.
Everybody grows up different.
Right. And
Yeah.
and some people they spend all their life in church, and then some people it's like something that they do towards the after their career gets started. I know for me, I didn't really grow up in church, but at the age
Right.
of 25, I went and got myself baptized, and I started going to church on my own, and I became members of churches, and I put myself on that role. But it
Yeah.
also gave me a little bit of soul, and it gave me a little bit of rhythm behind that because
Right.
I mean I was like two left feet and couldn't figure nothing out. But yeah, I mean a lot of people don't realize that a lot of this music that is on mainstream has a lot to do with the gospel roots or
Right.
or some type of roots in a church, whether it be
Yeah. Because I can tell you this right here. I don't know the exact percentage, but I say over half of most of the R&B artists and hip hop people, they all had influences that started in church.
right, right, right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, I want to thank you for coming out to my show, Chadzilla Beatz. Everybody can find you at what Instagram, uh,
Yeah.
iTunes, Google Play, Spotify,
YouTube.
Chadzilla Beatz.
Yeah.
I just want to wrap it up by saying I thank you again for being on our podcast, man.
And no
And
problem. It's an honor.
yeah, man, it's been a pleasure picking your brain for all your listeners out there. We got a lot more coming next week and the week after, and ongoing. I hope to have you again back, maybe as a co-host.
Yes, sir. I love to do it.
I think that as being in the world that you're in, as far as the more hands-on and working with the gear and stuff, I think that you would have a lot to offer as far as a co-host.
Right. Right.
I'm just like letting you know right now, like that might be something that you probably gonna be able to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
but but definitely, I just want to say thank you again, and this is Jeff Strahan, aka your boy Jay Reed. This is the Cadence of Life Podcast, and I'll catch you later, man. Thank you for listening to Cadence of Life Podcast. Check us out on Facebook, the Cadence of Life Podcast. You can check out your boy Jay Ree or any of his music, Beats by Jay Ree, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you again for listening. See you next time.